Hello, once again, ladies and gentlemen. We are here, as always, to welcome you back to the Low High Podcast. Joining you, as always, I am irredeemably strange. My name is Aaron Marcelle. Please call me Cele. Joining me, as always, is my ever-handsome co-host,
Marcello. I thank you for calling me handsome, so I appreciate that.
No problem. He's Marcello, and he's always mellow. We're here to welcome you on this beautifully shitty day to the Low High Podcast.
It's nice and rainy outside, but it's also quite hot, so it's kind of a sauna.
Like, it's literally just God telling the world, like, I can make it as shitty as possible. Like, weather really has been, like, the jump from how weather has been over here, like, in the 4 years we've been here has been insane. You weren't here for our first winter, but it snowed till April that year. That shit was crazy.
See, that's awesome. Like, I kind of wish that we got that snow, because all the time I've been here at Marist, it's just been, like, a little bit of snow and then just hot for a long time.
And bro, it's that climate change, bro. Climate change be hitting.
And it's weird.
Like, literally, I remember, like, this one day, I was walking to the dining hall. Like, we had this, like, big hill in front of our library. It was covered in snow. I remember, I was a freshman. I was already tired. It was the second semester. I remember just walking. I just slipped. I literally don't even notice myself slip. I'm just sliding down the hill, face first. And I remember, like, at some point, I'm just, like, laying, like, face first in the snow. Like, people used to go, that place people go sledding? Mm-hmm. So I'm just laying there, face first, in the snow. Just, like something out of, like, a TV show. Like, my backpack on my back, just, like, sighing that deep sigh, like...
The snow's betrayed you.
The snow's betrayed me. And I just, like... I almost, like, didn't want to get up. But I'm like, nah, I'm hungry. So I just stood up and walked to the dining hall.
Chill.
Like, in the end, it is what it is.
But sometimes when you fall and you're just laying in that snow, it could be kind of a vibe. It's kind of comfy down there sometimes. I can't lie.
See, if I landed on if you like land on your back, if I landed on my back, probably.
Oh, yeah, but you face first.
Yeah, that's the worst.
You kiss the floor. But today on the Low High Podcast, we're going to talk about tradition, legacy, and how Britas are overwhelmingly convenient.
Bro, look, I'm not discounting the achievements of, generations of explorers who, charted the unmapped regions of the world and, died of hunger and thirst. But nigga like me, I would have just brought a Brita with me, homie. Like, bro, fuck dying of thirst. Literally just scoop that shit in the river water, bro. Drink that shit, you're fine. Like, I'm sorry, but, like, these men needed to have, like, thought ahead. But honestly, the Brita is, like, such an infinitely convenient invention.
Dude, it's the best. It's the best. I mean, you can usually drink tap water in America, depending on where you are. But at the same time, like, did you hear in Texas they had parasites in the water?
What?
Apparently? Yeah, recently. They had, like, this one kid died of, like, a brain-eating amoeba.
Wow.
And they found that parasite in their water supply. So, like, I don't know if a Brita would get rid of a parasite. I'm actually not sure about that, but I feel like it can't hurt.
That's another good question. What are the filtration limits of a Brita? Like, I remember, like, the good mythical morning guys. What's their fucking names?
I don't know. But they Brited a ton of shit.
Yeah, they Brited, like, a ton of stuff with, like, different, like, kinds of Britas, too. So, like, I know they put, like, Mountain Dew in it. And, like, the Mountain Dew came out clear.
Like, kind of like water.
Yeah, so I'm like, what exactly could you, like... What kind of, like, what's the highest, like, what's the worst kind of water you think a Brita can filter? Like, let's say we take, like, some nasty, like, camp, like, communal bathroom water, like, put that shit in the Brita.
No! You could not pay me to eat that. Not eat it, drink it. Don't eat water.
Damn, if it's thick enough, though, like, shit. Ugh.
No, I think, it depends on the Brita. Because I know you have your just Britas, which I guess just filter out not the worst water, but I know, like, Life Straw, they have some pretty crazy products. Like, I've seen videos, on their advertisements or whatnot of people just taking these straws and putting them in a goopy lake and then just sucking that water right up. But my only thing with the Life Straw is because I had one when I was traveling.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I didn't need it. It was just a just in case type deal. But you have to really suck on those to get, like, a little... You're doing work to get a drop.
Damn.
And I guess it's worth it because it really is filtering your water. But if you don't need to filter to that extent, So I guess it really can filter out some crazy things.
Bro, absolutely. But like, what exactly is it that's like filtering this stuff? That's my question.
We're gonna have to Google this. I believe I want to say it's. I don't, because I feel like the Brita, they have those little black beads in there. So I don't know if that's
probably it.
like a mineral thing, but also it could just be super tight fibers. I feel like that's often what.
That is a valid option.
How do Britas work?
Welcome to the Low High Podcast, where you're listening to us Google how Britas work. We're probably gonna like start videoing this soon, right?
I'd like to.
If we get like a studio, we're gonna put this on YouTube, so like we'll probably start putting out like actual videos at some point. We're not gonna say when though, so like no guarantees.
But soon. Because right now we're just sitting on the floor in a dorm with a mic on a chair, just recording this stuff.
It's a cool dorm room though.
Oh no, yeah, I didn't mean to make it sound.
No.
Sally's room is a vibe.
No, wait, don't tell us my room. But like anyway.
This room is a vibe. We spent many nights here.
Bro, you gotta think about how that sounds. Oh, man. So, anyway.
Yeah, we separately spent many nights.
Oh, my God. Why are you like this, bro?
I don't know. I can't even find how the Brita works.
Oh, man.
I'm useless.
Britas are just always gonna be a mystery, I guess. Because I guess it's like proprietary technology, so like probably they won't just like have it out there how that works.
They have a couple, like I'll just read for example from Brita.com their stream filters. It says these filters utilize a proprietary dual layer carbon form to reduce impurities as you pour a Brita stream pitcher. The activated carbon acts like a sponge to reduce chlorine taste and odor. So I'm guessing it's just tight fibers mixed with something that has to do with carbon.
I see.
I'm not sure. I'm not a scientist.
So yeah, anyway, we maybe just kind of figured out how Britas work. I don't know. You let us know.
But they're still really convenient.
Oh, absolutely. It's like so much shit in life is just like infinitely convenient that like, we can't even like process it. Like, okay, so Britas are like definitely like more elite than bottled water in every way. Like, use a Brita, don't buy bottled water, save the environment, blah, blah, blah. But like, just like hold a bottle of water in your hand. Like, bro, like I could never make that shit. Like
water?
Just like the bottle to put water in.
Oh yeah, I don't have no idea.
Like,
yeah, that happens.
Like, bro, that's just like it's like the bottle of water. That's like a testament to how far the human race has come.
That's a good point. Like, think about it. You spend $1, which is typically like $1 for water, which really is not that much money. And you got somebody who gathered this water, purified it, bottled it, put the label on there, shipped it to wherever, probably shipped it again to your store. Then somebody stocked the shelf into a refrigerator that somebody else made. And then you just picked up. All you did was just walk in, pick up a cold bottle of water,
and drink
it.
Bro, people used to fight wars over water. Like, I feel like
for real,
if you like, just like thinking about that makes you appreciate water 1 billion times more.
Oh, it's awesome. I mean, every day.
Like, bro, we're 70% water. So literally, just like with this logic that we have just reasoned for you folks at home, that puts the Brita, perhaps maybe, at the peak of human invention.
This is a good point. Because when in doubt, you can just Brita it out. Like, there's so many things you can do with a Brita. Now that I'm thinking about it, like, hydration is key. Like, you need to hydrate yourself. So if you have a Brita, just keep a Brita on you at all times.
Literally, just like carry a Brita in your back pocket all the time.
The back of my car, Brita.
Literally, like in your girlfriend's purse, Brita.
Oh.
In your own purse, Brita.
Just Brita everywhere.
Brita everywhere. Brita every day.
Brita at all.
Brita in Britain.
Now I kind of want to Brita some things and see how it goes.
See, I heard didn't they Brita like vodka or something once? And apparently like they said it increased the quality of it.
That would be weird. That wouldn't be surprised. I don't know how alcohol works. I don't even know how the filter works, but
I'm pretty sure like filtration has something to do with alcohol. Don't quote me on this.
I think you're right, actually. That would make sense to make it like drinkable.
Alcohol just like already it's barely drinkable. Barely.
But keep an eye out for Sally and I. We're gonna just Brita things and we'll post it.
Oh, definitely. The Low High Podcast Brita video coming soon.
Sooner or later.
Most likely later. Okay, so we just talked about Britas for a while. Yeah. But we were planning on having like a deep like discussion about like, you know, traditions and moral values. But here we just talked about Britas for like 15 minutes.
Really?
I don't know, how long was that?
I can't read it out of my glasses. That's what happens when we're both blind.
Well, we talked about how like, you know, explorers would have probably like benefited a lot from having a Brita instead of, you know, like bro, like the whole idea of being an explorer. Like you're going somewhere you've never been, where like you don't speak the language, with like just enough supplies to like keep you alive. You think, and like you've got nothing to like inoculate you against like any diseases you might not have. And these people used to like pull up with that, like they'd be pulling up like the expedition with like what, a walking stick, like a fancy hat, and like some cargo shorts. Like, bro, why are you wearing shorts like in the first place? Like, bro, like it's the jungle, bro. Like literally anything could bite you from anywhere. Like, nah, like nigga like me would simply just not go to the jungle.
No,
like first of all,
dude, the jungle is a scary. It's not scary, but it's deep, man. It's deep. There's snakes in trees, freaking leaves everywhere. It's hot. It's humid.
Just like outside.
Yeah, just like right now.
Like if you just like take a second to like really think about like the shit that animals can do, you'll be like, yeah, nah, like it just doesn't make sense.
I think animals are far more advanced. Not advanced, because obviously we're more advanced, but if you took all of this away from us, we're kind of useless against most animals.
Like definitely. Like humans, we can run like kind of fast, but we have to train. Like humans, like we're the only animal that like has to work out to like be tough. Like imagine if like animals worked out, bro. Like it would be no contest, bro.
You just see a gorilla just getting like ripping trees apart,
bro.
Like them.
Bro, if gorillas hit leg day, it'd be over for the human race.
Oh my god. Well, alright, I'm gonna throw well, actually I have a fun fact. This I think is interesting. So humans, we perspire a lot. We're very good at sweating. Like we have a very good cooling system. And the reason apparently for that, from what I read, is because how we would get prey, how we would hunt earlier in the day was that we would just do cardio, which we don't do today because everyone's kind of lazy, but our ability to just keep running slowly was a trait because we would sweat and we would cool down. And so that's how we would actually hunt things. So for example, if we were trying to hunt like a deer or an elk, it would sprint away and then we'd eventually catch up to it. And then it would just keep sprinting away and it eventually would just overheat and fall over. And we would catch up to it and be able to kill and eat it.
Wow.
So that's why we have excellent endurance, especially if we train for it.
Dang.
Which is kind of cool.
So we're built to get stronger, but we're not built strong. That's fucked up.
Yeah. We're built to improve.
Nah, humans are like, we're like the only species with the power to change ourselves. That makes us strong. Anyway.
And now here's my hypothetical for you. Do you think you could take on 2 turkeys?
At the same time?
Yes. Yeah, sure. Like we're gonna compare. So you're pretty strong, dude. You're pretty tall as well. And you got 2 turkeys. Do you think you'd walk away from that?
Am I unarmed?
You're unarmed. This is bare bones. This is a bare bones fight.
You see, birds are tough.
Birds are scary.
Yeah, they're angry animals. Like birds really just be mad for no reason, especially flightless birds. Cause like they definitely be seeing like other birds fly and just be like mad as shit on the ground.
I'm totally jealous.
So like if you like go and pick a fight with them, like definitely they've been waiting to take out all that aggression on something. So like I'm already coming in at a disadvantage. Mm-hmm. But I could probably take 2 turkeys.
I feel like you could.
But could you take 2 turkeys?
Me? You know, I guess like when it really came down to it, like I don't think it would be as quick or pretty as I'm envisioning in my head. I think that I would be able to get 2 turkeys, but I'd definitely be messed up. Like they got claws. You know, turkeys have like talons. They would rip into me. They'd probably peck me. I'd just be all sorts of freaked out. I don't even know how to fight a turkey.
So you probably go for the neck.
That's what I'm guessing. So maybe if I got like a quick kick into the neck, well, no, Peta's gonna rip this apart.
Bro, you try and kung fu kick a turkey, and the turkey just kicks back and cross legs like some fucking anime.
Yeah. Yeah, we definitely couldn't take, like, even dogs.
Like,
dogs can be rough.
Oh, definitely. Like in a one-on-one fight, a person can definitely take a dog. But like 2 dogs,
and especially if they're like Chihuahuas, that's not even a problem. Like you can just punt those away.
Like literally, bro. But why are little dogs always like the angriest, bro? Like it doesn't.
It's the same
make
thing
sense.
with the birds. I feel like they have such little dog energy that they need to like admit that they're a huge beast of a dog.
Yeah. So that's an interesting question. So like, are smaller animals like do they have that inferiority complex that makes them want to stand out, like built into them automatically, just because like they know that they're small?
I feel like. I mean, you see it with people.
True.
But it's interesting, right? Because I see little dogs like really barking and going at bigger dogs. Like, bro, what do you think is gonna happen as a small dog? Like, do you really think you're walking away from that?
But the thing is that animals aren't that smart. But like even when like you know you're not that smart, you should be able to like reason this like basic size difference.
Mm-hmm.
Because like okay, if you have to like if you're fighting somebody or like something and you have to look all the way up to fight them,
mm-hmm.
you're probably not gonna win. If we're being real.
Yeah. I mean there's a high chance you're gonna lose.
No. But like animals are just built different, honestly.
I feel like most animals have an inferiority complex, just with size specifically. Like think about how many animals' ability, like the pufferfish, it just blows up in fear just to become a bigger mass to try and scare away its predator.
That's the thing. Lots of animals do stuff to make themselves look bigger,
look larger.
So like size really does matter.
And even, very interestingly enough, thanks to a fashion class I took at Marist. No, so in oh my gosh, I'm gonna butcher this. A lot of army uniforms in the earlier times had like shoulder, I'm gonna say buffs or bufflets to make their shoulders look a lot larger, and it in turn made them look a lot broader and taller, hence even the super tall hats and stuff like that. And that was all a visual tactic.
Really?
Yeah, used to kind of, because the bigger you are, the more intimidating you are to your enemies. So if you saw these silhouettes of all these super broad, super tall figures coming towards you, you're definitely going to be a little more
like weary.
Definitely more weary.
Is that why like in all those like movies where you see like Roman soldiers and shit, and then they've got like the abs like on their armor?
Dude, maybe, I don't know. That's kind of a beast move though, because you know those guys are already cut, but they gotta put that on their armor too.
Or like they gotta see my abs from outside my armor. Oh man.
Dude, armor back then was probably wild. It was heavy.
Definitely. And like people like when like people start like inventing weapons and stuff, and like you know like old armor couldn't keep up with it, like they were probably blowing niggas' minds.
Dude, because yeah, definitely during the Knights time, I know, you know, the armor did a really good job. It was all about getting in the armor or like denting the armor enough to do damage. But just imagine, you know, because you can take a shot to the chest with armor on. Imagine just getting ready just to deflect that, and then it just goes through you, and you're like, this is new.
That's an L, bro. Like, literally. Because, like, sword, bro, like, the first nigga to, like, pull up, like, a sword fight in, like, full plate armor, bro, that man must have been but he must have been feeling so confident, bro. like, literally. I remember I watched this movie, like, last Christmas. I can't remember what it was called. Robert Pattinson was in it. It was like about the King of England. Like this dude becomes the King of England, then he goes to war with France.
Oh, with Timothée Chalamet. King. Yes.
The King. Oh, that's what it's called?
Excellent film.
Right, I really liked it. Really good movie.
Excellent.
So you remember when the French prince is like at the final battle?
Oh yeah.
Where he pulls up in like all their like big fancy armor and they're fighting in mud. And he just fucking slips and falls. And he just tells the people in his army to just murder him. And I'm like, bro, that's so messed up.
He was ruthless.
Like, literally.
He's like, just take him. He's done.
Like, So, but like, imagine like you pulling up to that armor like with nobody prepared for you, bro. This dude probably killed everybody.
For sure. People would have no idea what to do. Like, how do you even get around that?
Like literally, nah.
You're like Iron Man. You'd feel like Iron Man. Medieval Iron Man.
Like literally. Imagine if you had like if you just pulled up like a medieval fight with like 2 guns and a suit of armor.
You have armor and guns.
Bro, you're just like say hello to my little friend, bro. Nah.
That'd be game.
Man, that's another thing. Like that's another reason we shouldn't like human beings should like never invent time travel. Because like definitely somebody is gonna go to like a medieval, like an ancient battle just to flex on some people, bro. Like it's gonna be so stupid. Like literally, like a bunch of people, like they fire their first volley. You see them like they're all reloading their muskets. You just come in with like a Glock. Like this is the most basic gun you can just purchase.
And you could wreck everyone.
Just wreck an entire army.
Dude. That'd be wild. So imagine if instead of time traveling in this same reality, you could just get sent back to alternate realities, so it wouldn't necessarily affect this reality. That would definitely be a business enterprise.
Oh, definitely.
People would be like, oh yeah, instead of playing Call of Duty, just go to the 18th century.
Just go
in another reality. Go mess that whole dynamic up.
Damn. Like if everybody could just go like get to live in their own pocket reality, like dang.
That'd be weird.
But like it's like Rick and Morty. Wouldn't there be like a version of you that like already exists there?
There probably would be.
But like if you're sending them back in time, well, you probably wouldn't have been born yet.
Yeah, you wouldn't exist yet.
But some version of you would have been born yet. So like you could probably just like hop around and like just like wait until you're born and then like recruit an army of yourself.
That'd be really crazy.
That's like a super villain type idea. But like all these like that's the thing. I could never be a super villain. But like all these like villain ideas in movies for like them to conquer the world, it's all like such like super complicated stuff that like takes like several generations to achieve. And in the end, like you weren't even gonna do anything like that awesome. Anything. Like you were gonna like, I'm gonna conquer the world. Like, bro, what are you gonna do after you conquer the world? Like what are like literally, like, okay, if you conquered the entire world, right? But you have to be in charge of everything.
That's too much work.
Like you literally, all you've done is give yourself a job.
For sure. A huge job.
Like, and like, the only other option is like, you will have people to like take care of that for you. And then you just like spend your time goofing off. But you could literally just like spend your time goofing off. If you're like unemployed and had money, it's like, what's the point of like ever doing something like that?
I guess that's kind of like a Thanos complex. You truly think it would be for the betterment of you sacrifice your own being for the betterment. You sacrifice your life and future for the betterment of the world. But that's also such a narcissistic thing to think.
Anybody who like thinks they can like successfully control the world probably shouldn't control the world.
No, you can't. People can't even control states.
People can barely control themselves.
Yeah. You're not getting control of the entire world. See, Dr. Doofenshmirtz had it right. He was just going for the tri-state.
Bro, definitely. Like he had reasonable goals. He was a good father. He had like an amiable relationship with his ex-wife.
Yeah.
Like literally, like Dr. Doofenshmirtz was like vibing.
Honestly,
literally. Like what did he do? Like, you know, he like made food. He like learned new dances every week.
Mm-hmm.
He like fought a platypus.
Perry, a formidable foe.
Bro, Phineas and Ferb was like, I have like so many like random memories of that show.
It's a great show.
It was. I always low key thought that like Dr. Doofenshmirtz was like Phineas's real dad though.
Oh, because their head is kind of shaped similarly.
And like he dated his mom, so like, and like that would kind of explain why he's so inventive, right?
Yeah. Wait, did they ever deny that?
I don't know. Like I literally like. Apparently, Phineas and Ferb did actually like have like a last episode, but I never watched it.
I haven't watched it either. But it's actually a really good theory. That probably works out.
I don't know. Like, I didn't come up with it. But, like, I think I learned it from like somebody else. But like, it makes a lot of sense.
Plus, if you were like a super villain, you know, because we were going to talk about legacy on this episode. You know, superheroes, that's a great legacy. You know, you leave such an awesome legacy behind. But like a super villain. Do you leave a good legacy, or do you just leave? Do people forget about you, or do people remember you in a terrible light?
Well, probably if you're like a supervillain and you want to leave a legacy, you're probably gonna have to do something like terrible, like probably like some 9/11 like type shit. That's probably gonna like it depends on like what kind of supervillain you want to be. Like if you can like pull off an incredible heist, you can genocide. You can like.
What are most of these supervillains' motives?
It depends. Like, I feel like supervillains have like a lot to do with like their superheroes.
Yes, that's very true.
Because like if you're not doing it, because like okay, most of these guys just like want to like rob banks or like dumb stuff like that. Like, it's like the new Batman movies coming out. Like the villain is the Riddler. That guy's whole thing is just like it seems like such a weird dynamic to have with like a superhero that like you gotta leave like you're leaving them clues to like stop your plan. Like if you want to like help stop your plan, like why are you even like coming up with the plan in the first place? Like literally, like you could just like okay, if I was the Riddler, literally I'd give Batman like 2 clues, like 2 actual clues, and like the third clue would be like a lie, so I could like go do what I want.
Well, they're codependent heroes and villains, because if the Riddler didn't give riddles, he wouldn't be the Riddler, and he wouldn't really have like a meaning. I guess he wouldn't really have a character.
True. So I guess that's another thing. Like I guess supervillainy is kind of like you gotta like pick a theme.
Yeah, traditional like superhero stuff. You definitely want to pick a theme. But I don't know. I think it's interesting because I can't think of like I wrote a fair amount of comics and I've been into the superhero stuff. I don't really know any supervillains that are just like terrorists that really just want to cause chaos. They all have some sort of ulterior motive.
True. There was that one guy from Arrow though, Anarchy. His whole thing was just anarchy.
Yeah, that makes sense.
The thing, if you want to do supervillain shit, but like you're not themed, you're just a terrorist then, which is like
that's a good point.
That's kind of lame.
Yeah. Well, if you have the option to be a supervillain or a terrorist, I mean, both are bad, but
like honestly, I feel like all these supervillains, like in all these shows, they always just choose to do such like dumb, annoying stuff with your powers. Like literally, if you just like took your powers and like applied them to modern society, you could make like equal or like greater amounts of wealth. Because like our society is already basically run by supervillains.
Yeah.
And like you don't need to like wear like a fancy, because like what did like they do? Like they find out like, oh, I've got psychic powers. Then they go and they like put on a unitard, put like a crown or something on their head, like, oh, my name is I don't know, Mindo or something, and then they go rob a bank. Like, bro, like you have like literally that's a problem. It's like humans, like even like in life, humans squander their potential, and I feel like in like comics, you see like people telling like supervillains a lot, like you're just squandering your potential, and it's true, because like you could just go and like play the stock market. Or like do anything that like involves betting in any way and use your powers to make like a bunch of money. Instead, you want to like make yourself a nuisance? Why? Who benefits from this? Nobody.
Well, I guess what if? Because I'm just trying to put myself in those shoes. I guess life would just kind of be boring and easy. You have this superpower. You want to kind of see how far you can go with it, and then you would do more extreme things potentially. That's one angle you could take.
True.
But I'm sure some people would just be like, oh, I'm a psychic. I'm going to rob a bank right now. I'm not going to like become the most famed lie detector in the entire world, in the galaxy. I'm not gonna...
I want to rob a bank. I want the bags from the bank to have dollar signs on them.
Yeah. And I'm going to wear a very bright and colorful...
There have to be at least 5 colors on my uniform, or I'm not doing it right.
And then I need to announce my name.
Bro, definitely. Like, you gotta say your name every time you walk into any place.
Dude, imagine if you actually saw, like, real footage of somebody robbing a bank or committing a crime and, like, a super villain out. You'd be like... Either this was like Comic-Con overspill or just this dude's crazy.
Man. Oh, man. If I see somebody actually like successfully pull off a bank robbery, Like, okay, first of all, like, you know, congrats to them.
Yes.
But like, if they have like superpowers or something, yeah, it would be like really impressive. But like, if it's just some nigga, like who just like comes in with like a gun and like robs a bank.
No, yeah, he's just a normal guy, just with a supervillain persona.
Bro, why? But you know, there are like real life superhero people with, like superhero personas. But like one of them got arrested, I think, for like selling drugs to cops.
Oh,
So
that's okay. Squandering your potential again.
Literally, like you either die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain. Like,
that's such a great movie.
see, but like if enough people, but like if supervillains actually like became a thing randomly, it would probably be like a cultural revolution. But like the thing is, like,
Be huge.
our police force, like I feel like the way like the police force like works in like real life, they're like way too willing to kill people for like supervillains to actually like, you know, like if they didn't have powers, like become like a lasting thing.
Well, it makes me wonder because I don't know. I never know how to feel about this stuff. So if
Like imagine you're a supervillain and you're black. Like that's like
that's bad.
like that's already like bro, that's already like an X on you, my guy. But like what were you saying?
Well, I wonder if well, I guess that's actually not funny. I should have left that. But anyway, to talk about do you think if there's like a supernatural or kind of like, you know, in all the X-Men lore and stuff like that, where they're actually, what am I even trying to say? So hypothetically, if there's an encounter with somebody who has super potential, superpowers or something like that, do you think they would send a separate team like to deal with this? Do you think right now in our current America or our current world, we have a force tasked to potential mutants, superpower people or something like that?
See, well, I feel like the people who do all like the government spending are like pretty bored and they have like a lot of money. So somebody at some point, probably like in the 80s or something, when like the X-Men comics were pretty good, were like pretty huge. They were like, I guess we should probably have something for like if mutants ever actually, just like just in case.
But honestly, I feel like countrywide contingency plans for stuff like the zombie apocalypse or alien invasion, I feel like that's just one of those things that's just better to have than to not.
Definitely. Like you have to consider every possibility.
Like on the super off chance it happens, that's literally the most clutch contingency plan you can possibly have. Like everything else would just be completely useless.
Like if a zombie apocalypse happened and like a society was like prepared for it, it would last like a week max.
That's a good point. It'd be, well, I don't know, dude.
Because people are stupid. So like that's
pandemic.
a big point. That's a good point.
But also at the same time, I feel like if people visually saw zombies walking around, it'd be like, honestly, I feel like the government wouldn't even have to do that much. I feel like people would be very happy to just bash these zombies to hell.
Sure, that's another thing. People will definitely want to fight zombies.
Yeah, I mean, personally,
I'd want to fight some zombies. For
I have to. I have to swing. Like I gotta kill at least one.
Like you have to do it for the culture, bro.
Literally.
Because like imagine you lived through a zombie apocalypse and you didn't kill a single zombie. Come on,
sad.
Man.
That'd be sad.
Right, you know, people are gonna like after that happens, people are gonna have like framed photos of like their the zombies they killed.
Yeah, like on their walls, they're gonna have the heads mounted.
Or maybe the government will do a thing like recycling bodies. Like every zombie corpse you bring them, you get like I don't know, like $500.
Probably.
You get a stimulus check for every zombie you kill.
There's this is just an interesting topic. So are you familiar with the manga? I think it became an anime show like Dorohedoro.
I've been watching it on Netflix.
Yeah. Okay. It's actually sick. But there's this one part of like, so in their world, in their undercity, all of the dead.
Oh, the day that the zombies just all come to life. Yeah,
they all rise up, and so they have to get rid of them anyway. So they're like, okay, we're gonna have a prize. Whoever collects the most zombie tokens or tags, so basically whoever kills the most zombies, gets like a prize. And I totally think if zombies were a thing, that would be something that
definitely
society would do.
100%. But we'll find a way to monetize
Everything.
Literally, if somebody's probably going to try and put together like a zombie sports league.
Oh, for sure. Well, this is interesting. So if zombies became a thing, and like you said, they gave a prize for every zombie you killed, like $500 per zombie, dude, zombie hunters would be huge, and then zombie farmers would be a thing.
Oh, definitely. Oh, that's really fucked up because like there's definitely gonna be people who just start infecting people on purpose to keep reaping the reward.
Absolutely. Like, did you know that when the British were first colonizing India, there's a bunch of cobra snakes, and this is actually called, in theory of adverse effects, called the adverse cobra effect. So when they were colonizing India, there was a bunch of cobra snakes, and they were a problem. So they put out a bounty on cobra snakes. Like, if you kill a cobra snake, you get, I don't know what the prize was. I'd be lying if I said I did. So what they actually started doing was they would have people farming cobra snakes and then just slaughtering them and bringing up all these heads. And then obviously the British caught on. They're like, okay, well, this is terrible. They're just actually making more cobra snakes just to get money out of us. And then they lifted the bounty. And then all these people had thousands of cobra snakes they had no idea what to do with. So they just let them go. And it actually ended up increasing the cobra population in India.
Bro.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, that would happen with zombies, no doubt.
100%.
Like, somebody would be messed up enough to just farm zombies.
See, yeah, no, sustainably. Like, if you just wanted to make zombies, you could just use like a city's like homeless population or something.
Yeah, or even hospitals.
Bro, literally, there's so many people that like people like won't like really care about. But if you started like, if you just like start one zombie infection, like if you start like a zombie infection in a public place, though, that's probably gonna like become a full blood outbreak.
I feel. Oh, you're totally right. I was actually thinking about this because I just watched that movie #Alive.
I haven't seen it. How was it?
Actually, very, very good. Like, at first I was like, this is going to be all right. But I loved it. We could talk about that more once you've seen it. It's a really good movie.
100%.
But what was I going to say? Oh, yeah. So for example, if you just knew, right? If, like, let's just give it a week and then you knew, like, okay, there's a zombie outbreak and you were mentally in that mindset, you'd probably be fine. Like, society as a whole would be better. But it's those moments of hysteria and panic, like, if you were just in a mall and you just, all of a sudden there's a zombie outbreak starting there, you'd be so confused, understandably. Like, you'd have no idea what's going on.
Definitely.
Your defenses would be totally down. You'd be shocked. But if you were walking into a mall and you knew zombies were a thing, you'd be like ready to react 100%.
Bro. Like, there's like steps. I don't know. Should we do like a zombie apocalypse episode? Or we can talk more about this. But like, there's like steps like I feel like everybody kind of has automatically in their minds, because like I feel like everybody's been exposed to like so much zombie media that like there's people who are like, they know what they're gonna do in a zombie apocalypse, but they don't know what they're gonna have for lunch the next day. Like, literally.
No, you're completely right. I'm just laughing because like I've done that.
Bro, zombie apocalypse vibes, man.
Hugely.
But I guess that's another thing. I guess since we should go into our actual topic for today at some point, how zombies are ingrained into the cultural zeitgeist, the mentality of our society. That's the whole idea of legacy. So I don't know, Marcelo, what do you think legacy is? Let's just start over there.
Legacy is tough. I feel like it definitely comes with a sentiment of notoriety. I feel like you have to have done something amazing or terrible, I suppose, and you leave a legacy behind. But that's more wide scale things, I guess everyone in their own way, like family names, your last name is almost, in a way, a legacy. You're carrying on the name. So, Sally, what do you think when you think of legacy? What do you think?
Well, I think like legacy, I feel like you're right. Like, legacy is like, I feel like automatically is attached to your last name. Mm-hmm. But sometimes I feel like if people don't even know if you know who you are, if you do something notable enough, like you leave a legacy behind. Like, even like little stuff, like, like eating like a lot of stuff, like in a particular order. Like somebody like just like lifts up like a plaque or something to honor that kid who ate 59 cupcakes in one sitting. Or like, legacy is like really important, like people back home in Nigeria and shit, you want your kids to go to a good school, marry somebody good, like have grandchildren, have great grandchildren, blah, 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 all that stuff.
carry on the family name, like the bloodline? Is that more the legacy you're talking about, or just your general?
It's like a mix of both. They want you to do notable things while also continue the bloodline.
But that requires doing things for your community.
Yeah.
So I guess in order to leave a legacy, for the most part, it has to be for the greater good, or a more selfless act.
True. But you could also leave like a terrible legacy. Like every serial killer leaves behind
Terrible legacy.
Like everybody who commits war crimes.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody who like pees outside. Well, not exactly a legacy, but if you end up on a watch list, is that your legacy?
That's pretty bad. I don't know, because I guess legacy, it can depend, right? Like if there could be a local legacy in just your town. There could be a legacy just in your family.
Sure.
There could be, we already spoke about larger scale legacies, like Gandhi, Martin Luther King, Muhammad Ali, Bruce Lee. But I don't know. I guess even that lady who peed in the Verizon store has her own legacy.
Imagine that's what they're going to remember you for forever.
Well, look at all the people who became memes.
True.
That's their legacy.
True. The Bad Luck Brian guy. Like, there's like this YouTube series now that interviews people like who became memes and like it tells their story.
That's kind of awesome.
Yeah, no, we should check it out.
I'm down.
So I feel like the whole idea behind like legacy is like when something is like notable enough to like have like a profound effect. Like not even like it doesn't have to be like a large number of people, like a semi-small number of people. Like you gotta think about like how in frats and shit in college, there's always like all these legends who do like dumb stuff like this. And like if you have like enough of a legacy, people will tell like different versions of your story. Like if you're popular enough, because like there's lots of like mythical figures like that. So I feel like right now, like in the age we live in, like leaving a legacy has become like a lot easier. Yes. Because you can take pictures, you can take videos, people will be there, you can share it online. If you wanted to like leave a legacy like back like 500-700 years ago, you'd have to like do some crazy shit. Like you'd have somebody'd have to like want to like paint a painting of like what you did. That's like how important that shit had to be.
Or you needed to have people who survived enough to keep telling your story.
Sure, like oral tradition.
Oral tradition is very cool, and I feel like that's where a lot of legacy definitely comes from.
Because humans are we're just like a collection of stories, and I've like the fact that we find so many of these stories like notable enough to like pass down to our children and our children's children. I think that's like really amazing.
Oh, for sure, it is amazing. Oral tradition is amazing.
Definitely. Speaking of tradition, let's go into like the whole idea, because like we said earlier. If you can think about it, traditions are really just peer pressure from dead people. Like, really, like what starts a tradition? Something that somebody does, like one person decides, okay, we're going to do this a really, really long time ago. And people now,
think it's important enough to carry on and to keep doing.
Because think of like the difference between like how somebody your age in America would be like 500 years ago compared to now.
I have no idea.
Like you'd probably be married. You'd have like maybe 3-4 kids. Probably would have like died in a war or something, or like had syphilis or something.
Dude, kids went to war young,
like, literally,
like young, spookily young.
And people still go. And like people go to war at 18 now, and that's still like incredibly young.
Yeah, that's amazing.
So just imagine what it was like back then.
I can't imagine going to war in general.
Man. Like it's just like I think we talked about this before, but bro, I just can't reason like any good reason to go to war, because like the people who start wars are like never the ones who fight them, and like for me that's enough. Like why should I go like fight for you? Because like okay, nobody ever really wants to go to war, right? Even when two countries go to war, it's not like the citizens who want to go to war. Like the people who are in the army, they never like really want to go to war. Like you don't want to like go and be killing people, but like 6 people. Like 3 people from each country, they have a disagreement. Because of that, like thousands of people should die. Like, bro, like, it doesn't make sense. Make it make sense. Like, literally, like, you want me to go out and die for somebody who's like never even gonna like look me in the eye? Nah, bro. Like, I feel like the stakes like for war were like bigger like back in the day. Because like usually if you're going to war, somebody was like invading your village to like steal your cows or some shit.
Like
you have like a personal reason to go fight them.
It was over resources.
Like is that like but like we're still having like fights over resources, but we're literally not gaining anything.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, we don't support war on the Lower High Podcast.
Yeah, we're.
Well, actually, do you think there's such a thing as justifiable?
See, the thing is, I feel like once you use the word war, it's just an all-out, very extensive, very all-encompassing word. There's battles and there's fights and stuff like that, but war is like, damn, man, that's huge. That's war. Huge. And it brings out the worst in people.
Absolutely.
And that's definitely what I hate most about conflict, like especially conflict to that extent, is it just really, some really messed up stuff happens.
Definitely. No. I remember when I was young, I'd been learning in history class about like all these big wars and stuff. Like I remember when I first learned about like World War I, like, the stuff that happened.
It's crazy.
Like that's like it's so tragic. Like literally, like they didn't know like shell shock. Like it's like once you stand by the cannon and you hear it get fired, and like your body literally has that reaction and like freezes up. Apparently, like in the British Army, like if you had shell shock, because like they didn't know what shell shock was, and like you weren't moving. Sometimes like some people get shot for like being cowards, and it's like, bro, I literally can't move, and they're like, nah, like it could never be me.
It's ruthless. It's definitely ruthless. So at the same time, respect to people who do actually sign up for the military, for the army and whatnot, to actively participate in that, because that definitely takes a level of dedication and vigor that I just don't see myself having.
I can't die for an oil company, bro. Couldn't be me.
It could not be me. I just couldn't do that in general. I mean, it's nasty stuff.
No, I do feel like you're definitely right. Like I can respect the people who fight wars. I don't think I can respect the people who start them.
Yeah. No, that's a really good way to phrase it, actually. Because there's no good reason for war, man. There hasn't been.
Because like think about the whole idea of like the Christmas truce. Was that World War I or World War II?
I believe it was World War II.
That like during Christmas, like you got these people, they've been fighting in no man's land for like so long, and like at the same time, bro, it's Christmas. Both sides are just like, you know what, bro, we've been out here for so long.
Let's chill out.
Bro, it's Christmas, bro. Can we just vibe for one day? And everybody was just like, yes, bro.
Please, man.
Bro, the man them, bro, they climbed out of their trenches, bro. They ate food. They played football together, bro. Like, it was like, it's one of the greatest coming togethers of humanity, literally, in history. And that one event by itself proves that war is some fucking bullshit.
For sure. And even that event has legacy.
Because like literally these people, they made friends in other cities. They're like, if they didn't die, they'd go like visit them. They exchanged postcards. They showed each other like pictures of their children. None of these people had any reason to fight each other. But then they went back and started killing each other again the next day. It doesn't make sense.
It's illogical for sure. There's just no reason to pour all that manpower and loss of life into that. If all that intensity and productivity went into other things, that's wildly helpful.
No, what we need to do is think of some economical, profitable, and entertaining alternatives to war. See, what I think we could do instead of having wars is having a massive. These are like, I forgot like 3 options. First of all, it could be a knockout. What is it? Knockdown, drag out fight between the people who declared the war. Like we literally like rent it out. Like have like a UFC fight, like Octagon. You live stream it to both countries. The 2 people who decided there should be wars have a 1v1 fight. Literally, it can be anything. It can be chess. It can be like UFC boxing. It can be like sword fighting. It can be like pistols. Whatever. They have to go fight and die for it.
Dude, isn't it crazy how they used to just do the pistol thing?
Dude,
how people used to duel.
Like, bro, it's like somebody could just challenge you to a duel, and you're like, oh, well, I guess my honor has been challenged. And like, you gotta go get a gun and then like stand still while somebody shoots at you. Like,
was life just less valuable? Did people value their lives less back then?
I think like total life expectancy was like what, 40?
Yeah,
So
but still,
bored.
oh my god,
Bro.
I can't imagine knocking somebody's drink over and then him being like, "Here, grab your gun."
Bro. Bro, I hope you got that motherfucking thing on.
Yeah.
Like, imagine, like, bro, the first person to ever say no to a duel must have had people shook. Like, the guy pulled up his gun, let us do it. I was like, no.
Yeah, why would I do that?
Like, there's no reason for anybody to die over this.
What do you think happened? What do you think the result was? Do you think he just got shot anyway, or do you think people actually were just shook?
Well, you see, if the guy who challenged him shot an unarmed man, he would be dishonored. So he probably didn't shoot him.
He probably didn't shoot him.
People probably like said, "Oh, you have no honor." And this dude was probably like, "I just didn't want to fucking die." And then he probably like went home. Like, literally.
Isn't that crazy? Like that idea of, I mean, we see it a lot in media. I don't know how true it is, but the idea of being the best, the fastest hand in the West, or being the best swordsman, and people actually hunting you down just to challenge you to see if they're better.
See, that's like, I don't want to like, gender stereotype it, but like, that's some like dude shit.
That's some dude shit. That's so some dude shit.
Like, literally, like, think about like how like every culture produces swordsmen. Like,
True.
just like in some culture, some dude like picks up like a sharp hunk of iron, and he's like, "I'm ready to dedicate my life to this." Like, literally, it's just cause like, bro, it's cause like people just like want to have fun with that shit, like, mostly.
Mm-hmm.
So like, yeah, if you have a gun, they can just do like you can't see me, but I'm making that motion that cowboys make with like the fan,
6-shooter,
like they fan the hammer, like literally, like imagine like just doing that for like a career, just like walk around the towns, like people challenge you and you challenge them, like.
It probably is some dude stuff, because I love Western movies. I love cowboys. I love samurai. I love like pirates. I love all that stuff.
Bro, literally.
I'm so into it. My girlfriend is just like, I mean, it's all right.
Nah, but have you never, like, you gotta look her in the eye and like say some dumb shit like, have you never dreamt of dueling with another woman until the sun comes up and being grateful when you lose or some shit like that? I don't fucking know, bro.
When the clock strikes noon.
Like, literally, like I remember, like all these like books and stuff I remember I used to read, like the stuff that like these authors would say when they're describing like the fights, these like insane metaphors, and I'm like, bro, and it's like to guys, I'm like, it's really that deep, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Like I remember he was like I was reading something about these two samurais fighting. It's like every cut he put on my body was anointing me as what was it, like as his brother in battle. Even though we were strangers, we crossed swords and became family. I'm like, bro, like
chill,
bro.
But at the same time, so if you're really dedicated to like, all right, hypothetically, I'm a swordsman. I'm like so dedicated to my craft of the sword, and I hunt down this other guy who I've never met before just because I hear he's a good swordsman, and we exchange blades, we cross blades, we're tapping metal. He's slicing me, I'm slicing him. I feel like that's a very intimate experience. Hopefully you both walk away from it, but I feel like, man, that has to be an oddly intimate experience.
See, I agree with you when you say like, it is definitely like an intimate experience. But at the same time, like I don't what reason is there for me to be going to like looking for like 1v1 sword fights with somebody, bro? Like,
there's like no reason.
Like when you could both fully die, and like even if you win and you both survive, both of you could just say you won. But the scars will be there to like prove it though. If it's a sword fight.
The idea of honor.
Right. That's another thing. Honor. What does honor even mean? Like people will be like, oh, and that's another thing, like 400 years ago. Like somebody could be like, oh, I really like your girlfriend. I don't think you're good enough for her. I'm challenging you, your honor for your woman. Like, bro, did you even ask her?
Yeah, right. Damn.
And then
they were not woke back then.
They really weren't. And some nigga be like, I will accept this duel on my honor. And then like you go and you lose the duel. And like if they don't kill you, this nigga literally gonna take your girlfriend. Like, bro, like imagine like losing your girlfriend because like you lost the sword fight. Like, there's no way to spin that properly at all.
Nope. Just imagine being the girl, just being like, wait, what the hell? And then watching your boyfriend die. And then just being like, well, who's this dude? Why do I how does this work?
Like, I'm your new husband, my nigga. Like,
oh my god, that must have been terrible.
Bro, literally. People, like, that's why I'm glad we got, like, laws and shit now. Because, like, you know, like, the system is, like, broken and messed up. But, like, back in the day, if people wanted, they really could just, like, kill you and, like, nothing would happen.
Dude, when you look at history and just the laws that we've actually had to put in place, it actually makes no sense. Like, some of these laws that people just actually saw logic in, like women not having rights or
women not being able to drive, that was just, like, lifted.
Or get a credit card, or...
Bro, that whole, like, women not driving thing, it was, like, recently lifted in, like, Saudi Arabia. And, like, I remember I was talking about, like, this, like, a couple months ago with my brother. And, like, the whole idea is, like, this is the origin of that. At some point, some guy in Saudi Arabia, way back in the car, like, way back in the past, saw somebody driving a car. And he was like, man, if a woman drives this thing, I can die. And it's like, like, bro, like, it's not that deep. Like, for what reason, bro? Like, you can't be adapting misogyny with the times, bro. That's too much effort. Just, like, let people live.
I just don't even see the logic in there. There's no way that could possibly have been logical at all.
Zero. But in their minds, they make it make sense. That's the thing.
But then everyone agreed.
Because it was a bunch of guys.
Yeah, everyone's like, yeah, oh, checks out.
100%. Like, bro, like, bro.
I do wish I could just go back in time and just ask, like, some of these people who just come to decisions or make laws. I always wish I could just be like, hey.
Just, like, raise your hand and be like, hey.
I just want to know your logic behind this. Just tell me why.
Like, why, bro?
I don't think half of them would be able to answer that.
Because, like, literally it's like, oh, no, women just shouldn't be able to drive. It's like, bro, but why? Bro, nah. Like, that's the thing about, like, laws and traditions. Like, it's literally something that, like, if, like, a logical person from now just asked them why, they probably wouldn't be able to come up with an explanation.
No feasible answer. But that was lifted, you said earlier, right?
Like, recently.
Recently lifted?
Yeah.
Wow. Well, at least they're moving forward, kind of.
That's the thing. We can have, like, a logic. That's the thing. Humans, like, the reason, like, the human race is so far behind is, like, we know the logical steps that I feel like we could take to, like, advance as a society. But people are just like, nah, I'd rather not.
It's bureaucracy.
Honestly.
I feel like, for the most part, we're going in the right direction, especially in recent light of all this social movement and change going around. Like, I think people are, for the most part, like, way chiller now.
Oh, definitely.
I feel like hearts are in better spots.
It's because, like, enough people have gotten, like, pissed. Like, yeah, okay.
I think people just started listening. I think people were actually like, oh, wait, yeah, hold on. That's a dick move, or that's stupid.
Definitely. I feel like that's another thing with, like, how easy it is to, like, disseminate information and, like, learn about, like, other people's perspectives. I feel like now more than ever, we have, like, the opportunity to, like, examine our own traditions from an outside lens. We can also, like, examine how people react to our traditions.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, okay, like, a lot of stuff that happened between, like, Nigeria, like, Africa and, like, Britain, like, you guys would come, like, people would, like, come to, like, Africa and be like, see them, like, do something like, oh my God, that's the tradition of savages. Or, like, there's people, like, you know, slavery and, like, you know, they, like, eat their slaves and shit like that. It's like, dang, bro. So, like, literally, we as modern people have, like, we're in the best position possible to analyze traditions and people's perspectives. Because we understand now that there's kind of, like, a baseline, I feel like, among, like, every culture for, like, okay, yeah, that's kind of messed up. So, like, it's interesting to, like, talk about these, like, things with other people.
Mm-hmm.
Because think about, like, how like, the traditions that people set up, like, a really long time ago, like, kind of do determine how we were, like, brought up in our societies. Because, like, it's all different for everybody. Because, like, do you think that, like, people could have different traditions but still kind of, like, be raised, like, generally the same? Nah. Like,
no.
even being from a different neighborhood, it's just like it can be such a massive difference between you and another person, right?
For sure. And I honestly think that's a good thing. I think it's beautiful. Like I really think cultures, because cultures come with so much tradition.
Definitely.
And so much history there. And I feel like each culture is just so awesome. And I'm not saying that they should totally be separate, obviously, because, cultures are going to mix and mingle. And we've seen that a lot in America. The idea of the melting pot where like cultures actually do end up kind of saturating with each other in one way. And then there's also the analogy of the salad bowl where like, well, yeah, but they're all still intact. And I think that's different depending on where you look. But tradition is a huge part of everyone's life, whether you want to admit it or not. Like it's what you do on Christmas, if you even do Thanksgiving, how you do Thanksgiving, what you do daily. I don't know if you have any like daily traditions or whatnot.
Like even like how you spend your Sundays. Like life, it really is just like us living, because like people, like we crave like repetition and pattern in our lives. That's been scientifically proven. So literally it's just like the series of patterns that like make up our daily lives. And like some people can like feel strongly enough about these patterns to like, disseminate them among other people and like among generations. And that's like tradition. That's just like crazy.
So now here's the next question I will ask is, why do you carry the traditions that you do? Because when I think, right, a lot of the traditions that I think of, and I don't know if these would be traditions, or superstitions, but I come from a fairly superstitious family. Like we don't put shoes on the table, close like the toilet seat before you flush it, which has somehow become a traditional thing in my family. So there's that aspect, and that's almost out of like, well, if I don't do this, maybe something funky will happen, or it's just in my best interest to keep up with this tradition, type thing. But then other times I feel like you can definitely do tradition just out of respect or honor for a person or a concept, like praying. I'd say that's a tradition.
Yeah. So I feel like I feel like you can kind of separate it. I feel like largely lots of people just like practice traditions because like that's how they were raised.
So it's more mindless, you would say, like habitual.
See, that's another thing. That's the difference between like starting a tradition and then being the person like who practices it like generations later. You have literally like you have barely anything to do with those people who like started like this tradition. You have different problems, you have a greater life expectancy, you have Wi-Fi, but you still practice these traditions because like it's been ingrained into your very being. I think I talked about this on another podcast, but I was raised singing the Nigerian national anthem, the Pledge of Allegiance, a lot. And even though I hadn't said it in years, I could just like suddenly remember the entire thing verbatim just when somebody else started saying it. And that's like that, like this is basically the same with traditions.
This is a good point. That's a good analogy.
Yeah. Like you can, like, it's not like traditions are like different than like, I feel like self-imposed rituals, because self-imposed rituals are something you decide to do with yourself. But for like a lot of people, they make traditions a part of themselves, which is why I feel like old mindsets can be kind of dangerous. Because like because like all these people, like in all these like highly traditional countries where like, if you're not old enough, you can't do this. But like they'll do things to like young people, old people, like, oh, because it's tradition. Or, maybe, you should like re-examine your traditions. Because if you can like re-examine laws, why can't you re-examine traditions?
That's a good point. Well, I think a lot of people don't even think them through, right? Because yes, this tradition may have started forever ago, right? But at the same time, if you're being raised, the tradition's not that far gone in a way because you're living it daily with your parents and your siblings. So the person, I guess the origin of the tradition is very far away, but the tradition itself is still very much alive.
True.
So I guess that would make it, you just don't even think and question a lot of these things.
True. That's another thing. When you're brought up with something, that's just the way it is because you literally don't know any other way.
Yeah, it's just the way you were brought up. But do you think there are certain I'm struggling to think of like any bad traditions. Like I can't think of a lot of traditions that I see as particularly problematic or that I take issue with.
Well, that's like America. Like in Nigeria, we used to have a tradition of like killing twins. Oh, somewhere like in the north, but like this missionary lady like stopped that.
Okay,
that's the thing. Like you gotta consider like a lot of these like acts of nature and stuff that people would be like, oh, this is an omen of the gods.
Yes.
But,
yeah.
also interesting, I found out that apparently they were like, some like archaeologists or something like dated back the date of like Jesus's execution or something.
Okay.
Because it aligned with the solar eclipse.
Interesting.
So apparently there was an eclipse the day Jesus died.
Mm-hmm.
But like they said the church rejected that because it doesn't like fall onto like their official date for Easter.
Okay.
And like this was funny as hell. But like, bro, like imagine like if you've been watching that shit, like okay, if like the guy's like, yo, I'm the son of God. And then like they crucify this guy and then the sun disappears, bro. I would shit.
I would be so scared.
Bro, I'd be like, oh my god.
We just messed up.
We just messed up so bad.
Yeah, that would definitely freak me out so hard. And then not even knowing what a solar eclipse is. I mean, maybe they did, but I would still be really freaked out.
Exactly.
Oh my god.
So like traditions, like generations long traditions are started because of some people like who didn't have knowledge, just witnessing something they couldn't explain. And it's just like,
that's a good point.
It's like they're like, okay, so everybody, we're gonna start like painting circles of honey on our door every day this month to like ward away evil spirits. And people are just like, yeah, all right,
makes sense.
Checks out.
Interesting.
So yeah, I don't know. You can feel like how you feel about traditions, but I just feel like you just shouldn't be afraid to take a closer look at them.
But at the same time, there is also that sense of, like, I guess peer pressure from your elders, like
definitely.
And it's weird, right? Because it doesn't make sense logically, but at the same time,
if it's the way like this has always been, like who are you to be questioning it?
Yeah. And especially if it's a more sentimental or like religious tradition,
definitely.
I feel like that's definitely kind of scary to
like try and go against that 100%. But I feel like, you know, like it's an act of self-respect to challenge your beliefs, in my opinion.
You have to.
Yeah, like if you like, you know, like of course it's okay to like hold the same beliefs your entire life, but like if you believe like, because like my beliefs like, you know, like they evolve like every like, you know, couple of months because I'm always trying to like find out new information, like apply it to my life. Because like I did used to hold like, you know, some really like messed up opinions and stuff that stemmed from like the traditions of like how they're raised and how we're raised in Nigeria, how they taught us to feel about certain people, about certain things. And then like I came to America and I started talking to people from like different cultures, not just Americans. And I'm just like, you know, I just like think about it and I'm like, why am I really doing this? Like you just really gotta sit down and like reason. Like, there's really no reason. You can just kind of like move on with your life. Like after like, you know, coming to that realization.
That's an excellent point. I feel like everyone kind of, because when you're growing up, I mean, at least for me, I grew up in kind of the same town and you grew up with the same family and then you kind of go to college, if you go to college, or as soon as you step out of the little bubble of your upbringing, everything kind of changed. Like there's so many different perspectives and stuff and they're naturally opposing to some of your beliefs. And it is really important. You have to have the self-respect to like, not just turn those away, to actually indulge in them.
No, definitely. And you talked about the whole idea of being raised in a bubble. I think that's something that people need to like, we as a society collectively need to change. Because like, okay, I saw like a post recently about like somebody asking like, why do we like lie to kids about like things like, you know, Santa Claus or the Tooth Fairy, like how people act. And somebody is like, because they're innocent and like children deserve to experience the world as like a kinder and more innocent place than it is. And I'm like, that's an excellent point. But at the same time, we're gonna like raise them with these ideas in their heads and like spit them out into an unkind world. And I'm like, should we just focus more on like creating a kinder world so our children can have like a kinder future?
That's a great idea.
Because like you're literally just like setting them up for failure if you're like teaching them like the world is gonna be a kind place.
If you shelter somebody too much, they often come out and get chewed up.
Absolutely.
But that's hard as well because you don't want to.
Like you don't want to like, you know, you don't want it to be too jaded too early. Definitely.
Yeah.
Our generation, I feel like, is already like very jaded and like we're mostly in our early 20s.
I feel like most of our generation is very desensitized because, And especially these younger kids, think about it. Think about how much the internet has changed, right? Because I was talking with my parents recently and how, when they grew up, they didn't really have phones. Like, it was like you just be home when the street lights started to come on. It was your time to go home or whatnot. And they only kind of experienced what they actually experienced in real life. But I can scroll on my phone through Instagram, and so can like a 12-year-old. And he can see billionaires with their like Lamborghinis and all these models living in hot tubs and going on jets. And they can also see those really interesting videos of like a bucket and a shovel. Wait, what am I trying to say? You know what I'm saying, right? Like they see such diverse lifestyles all at the same time. And it's like, how do you even process that as reality?
Especially when you're young. That's why I feel like so many of these like kids, that's why like so many of these like YouTubers can like build like massive fandoms of kids.
Mm-hmm.
Because like kids begin to develop this idealized version of like their adult life that they see other people living like very early. And I think that's kind of dangerous, right? Because even we as adults, we try to like live vicariously through like the celebrities that we like, or like the people or like the TV characters that we watch, and like it's easier than ever for like children to want to do those things. Because like think about like how many like Fortnite like V-Bucks scams like got like,
oh my god,
like were run over the years because like we had these like we taking all these money from these kids because like, oh my god, you're my favorite YouTuber, yes, I'll give you my parents' credit card number,
right? Stuff like that.
So yeah, I feel like a certain degree of shielding is needed for raising children, but like
absolutely.
But like, how can you really determine like what somebody needs to be protected?
And it's hard too because arguably parents will never know.
True.
Because they're kind of living in the past in a way.
Because that's the thing. When like the first time you become a parent, that's literally like the first time you're ever gonna be raising a kid. Like, bro, there's no manual for it. You literally just gotta like run on vibes.
And especially with the internet, I think would be the biggest hurdle to be a modern parent for. It's so new still, and it's just changing so fast constantly. You have no idea.
Like, I didn't like regularly use the internet, I think, until I was
older.
14 or so, 14, 13, around then, I think. Because I never really got my own like laptop until I was towards like the end of high school. And do you think that's like a good strategy to like try and like distance, like don't like actively like distance your kids from the knowledge, but like just like take little steps in their life? But the thing is that when we were growing up, the internet just wasn't as crazy as it is right now.
100%.
And the thing is, like, technology is crazy too. Everybody's got an iPad. Everybody's got an iPhone.
Yeah. It's wild, and I feel like I sound like an old person, and maybe this is just contrasting with how I was brought up as a kid. Because my parents were pretty against electronics. So, like, I got a Game Boy was my first like electronic device I was allowed to have. But that was like way later. Like, they really held out as much as they could for me. And I really appreciated that because it allowed me to be more in touch with like my surroundings in the world, Like I definitely was able to use my imagination a lot more. But like when I'm at a restaurant or at the grocery store and I just see the kids just kind of glued to the iPad, just sitting in the cart or at the table, like
I'm like, isn't that boring?
Yeah, that's kind of wrong too. I mean, I understand it's definitely a pacifier for like the kid, but I don't know. It just doesn't seem right to me. I'm not trying to say that's wrong. Like I know any better because I don't. But
I think it's because like you were raised like definitely safer than your parents and like a bit looser.
Mm-hmm.
But there's feel like we both had like the way we grew up because technology hadn't become what it was. There was a certain element of danger that you were allowed to like experience with your upbringing. Yeah. You could go out, you could hurt yourself. Or I did some dumb stuff growing up.
Every kid does.
I loved like jumping out of moving stuff. I remember like there was like one like little train that used to go around our neighborhood during like, what was it, like we had like this little carnival thing. And I remember like it would stop in front of your house, but I was like, it was like riding by my house. I'm like, oh, this is my stop. And I just jumped out, just rolled on the ground and just like got up like nothing happened. And I just think about it like, why? Kids are just like, that's the thing, kids are built different.
Yes, kids are built so differently.
Because like you literally aren't even like thinking about the stuff you do before you do it. You're just doing it.
You send it and it's beautiful.
Dude, no thoughts, no responsibilities, just vibes.
Just go.
Nobody's more full send than a kid. But so I don't know, guys. You can never really be sure about parenting. You can never really be sure about life. You can never be sure about existence. What you can be sure about is that we're going to be here next time on the Low High Podcast. Thank you all for coming.